two of the most recognisable faces in darts. You can't really miss Peter Wright, can you? 46 years of age from Scotland. That hair, that artwork takes hours. His wife does it. Mind you, he can also play a bit Mr. Consistent. He's widely expected to win a major, and soon he's already reached a World Championship final. As for Phil Taylor, well, what more can you say about him? World champion a staggering 16 times. He is 56 years of age now, but says he feels fresh as a daisy, having taken an unprecedented for him 3-week break mid-season. He's also recently beaten the world #1, Michael van Gerwen. That was in Sydney in August. So, England against Scotland in Wales. This is the start of Group A. And once again, it is a race to 10 legs. It's Phil Taylor against Peter Wright in this opening encounter.
Well, I'm looking forward to this one, Vassos. This has got the makings of a very, very good game indeed.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. First leg is Peter to throw first. Game on.
Well, Peter Wright has done the first thing that he needed to do, which was win the bullseye. So he's starting the match. And first question is, what darts is he throwing today? Because Peter Wright has a reputation as someone who likes to chop and change his equipment. I had a chat with him in the practice room a few hours ago. He was throwing the darts that he's throwing now, but even then he wasn't so sure what he was going to use.
I had the same chat with him only about half an hour after you did, and he still wasn't sure. And then just during the last match I had a chat with his wife, and she said he better have changed his mind.
Well, we went to a tournament last week in Europe,
100.
and he used a set of darts on the Saturday, won with a 94 average, played okay for Peter Wright standards. He turned up on the Sunday morning and had a completely different setup. And he played much better on the Sunday and reached the final, where he
60.
was, in his own words, obliterated by Michael van Gerwen.
He actually says he's working with his dart sponsors to
76.
produce like 3 or 4 different sets of darts that he can take up on the stage. One set maybe for hitting treble 20, another set for the doubles, another spare set in case he doesn't fancy it.
It could well be the evolution of what
58.
players actually do take up there. He's looking at a set where he can hit a lot of 180s, and this set can definitely do that, because as you can see, with a very long point, it makes the treble 20 look so big even when you've hit it.
105.
But he's already admitted with a shorter, heavier dart, he's better on doubles. So I think you're right, Vassos. Maybe we're looking at the possible evolution of future dart players where he's got more than one set on stage.
Well, he's first to a finish here. 80 to win the first leg with the darts. There's the treble 20. Double 10, just the wrong side of the wire. So double 5 to hold his throw.
70.
Well, this 148 from Phil Taylor might hurt. He's had some time off. Is there a sign of ring rust, maybe? Not to be on this occasion for the finish.
58.
So Wright should get rid of this really quickly. Because if he doesn't, Taylor will pounce. He's going to mess around though. One it is. Only just for double 2.
And there it is.
From the first leg, Peter Wright. Second leg is
At the 4th time of asking.
Game on.
Peter Wright finds the double, and Snakebite takes the lead.
Well, he just teased Phil Taylor a little bit there. When a dart player hits their required checkout with the last dart on a shot like that, you're just teasing them a bit.
Nice early maximum from the power. Gets them on their feet in Cardiff.
Well, the Oompa Loompas think that's pretty good. We've had a plethora of costumes this afternoon. I'm sure we'll get the same tonight.
And that 9 next to his name, that 9 means it's still on the 9 dart finish, the perfect leg of darts. You can't take 501 out in any less.
100.
It's a rare old thing, certainly on the BBC, to see a 9 dart finish. One in the World Championship in 1991, nothing since. And I think John Boy Walton did one in Hull in 2007. But if you watch your darts on the BBC, we haven't seen one for almost a decade.
Well, John Walton did get that one at the World Masters, and Paul Lim back in 1991, a very famous 9-darter.
96.
John Lowe, of course, being the first person to get a 9-darter on television back in the early 80s. But nowadays, we see them all the time on the PDC Tour.
Michael van Gerwen's had 2 this week in Barnsley.
2 this week. There's another one from Jordi Mayo, who's of Holland, and one from Simon Whitlock as well.
Double top for Phil Taylor to level the match.
Where's that ring rust I was talking about? None whatsoever. That's as clean as you like. Obviously, going for the bullseye on 125 finish. If you hit the red piece, 50 points. If your opponent's on a finish as well, hit another 25 and another bullseye. It's as simple as that, Vassos.
Last time Phil Taylor, talking of the BBC and darts, last time we saw Phil Taylor playing on the BBC was 23 years ago, the 1993 World Championship, when he lost in round 2. A special bonus if you can tell us who he lost to.
Ah, well, I had conflicting reports. Alan Warren a little told me it was him.
44.
So, I don't know whether Alan was trying to inflate his own ego, but it was indeed what Mark Webster told me up in the studio. It was indeed Kevin Spierlek of Essex, a famous left-handed player.
177.
That's as good as a maximum as he looks to break the throw of Peter Wright.
Oh, Peter's getting back in himself. That 177 from Phil has ignited snakebite, but if Phil can stay there, he still bosses this leg.
Oh yeah, 6 perfect darts from Phil Taylor. 44 points away from a leg, a possible 11-dart leg.
Well, we had 10 perfect darts in a row, if you count both players. 177, 180, 180.
Double 16 to break the throw. For an 11-dart leg. Rusty? Really?
No, he's not rusty. He's more like Iron Man. The power has been the advocate for having the correct breaks in the season. He's in his mid to late 50s now, and you may ask yourself, how can you still be a professional sportsman at that age? Well, I'll tell you what he's done. Aside from hitting 180s like that all the time, it's he's programmed his season very carefully, as if to say, right, what's important to me? How do I rest? When do I rest? And he's done it right for 25 years.
Oh, this is just terrific. They are exchanging maximums on the Oki in Cardiff. A groan around the arena as the 9-dart finish for Phil Taylor just fails. The dart falls the wrong side of the wire, but Peter Wright still on it.
Not anymore. The obligatory groan again. But I like what I see with the darts that he's using. They look like torpedoes. They actually look very similar to the darts that Paul Lim used back in 1991. Just no grooves on them.
Averages aren't shabby, are they? 118.24 for Phil Taylor, 101.6 for Peter Wright. Early stages, of course, but the standard is sensational so far.
This is what you get with PDC darts. You just got players who are on top of their game. They're either well rested, but Peter Wright has played a lot of competitions this month. He'll be in great shape. So it'll be interesting to see how he deals with this Phil Taylor onslaught. Double 6 for 3-1 lead.
Oh, he's missed 2.
Right, his route here has to be the bullseye, Vassos. It has to be. A 25 guarantees him another shot to win the leg. That leaves him a treble 20 and a bullseye. He's got the treble 20, so to hit back at the power, it's a bull. Oh, went the right route, just a little bit short on that final shot.
Another chance then for Phil Taylor. Having missed his first 2 darts at a double, doesn't miss his third.
Phil Taylor famously said a few years ago when he was trouncing people week in, week out. Doesn't happen so much anymore. But Shane Burgess, a famous player from the Sussex area of England, once said, well, you do get chances against Phil Taylor. They just happen to be big finishes like 161, 164.
60.
In this case, it was 135, and Peter gave himself a chance.
And he missed it, and now he's opened the door at the start of this 5th leg. Only 60 for Peter Wright, but
60.
Unusually, Phil Taylor doesn't punish the light scoring. It's a bit like the World Tour finals of tennis, this. The top 8 players in the world, 2 groups of 4, top 2 through to the semi-finals, and you don't get any shabby matches. You don't tend to get easy matches in the quarter-finals and beyond of major tournaments, and that's essentially what this is.
I think that's very accurate, because if you were to have maybe the top 16, top 24 perhaps, you might have some guys who've slipped down the rankings a bit and are low on confidence, but the top 8 in the world, you've got guys who are seriously playing well.
100.
And if we're going to extend the tennis analogy just a little further, is Phil Taylor the Roger Federer of darts?
That depends whether you think Roger Federer is the best tennis player of all time.
140.
Can of worms, Vassos?
No, he is. I mean, he's known as the GOAT, the greatest of all time, isn't he, Roger Federer? And also I meant that he's possibly, and you never know with Roger and you never know with Phil,
60.
but just possibly past his best. But what a best it has been.
It's possible. I do agree with you, just for the record, that Roger Federer is the best, but some people think it's Djokovic or Nadal. I don't. I think it's Federer, just because he was always, I think, the biggest gentleman. And with Phil, he's been accused over the last couple of years, because he hasn't won a lot of tournaments, that he may be past his best. But us dart players, sometimes we don't like to say that, because it ignites something in him. He says, I'm not finished, I'm still here, and he's still bossing this leg.
Yeah, 101 points away from a 4-1 lead. Bullseye for double 16. No, so Peter Wright will have a chance at 76.
I think this is a huge chance, because if he doesn't hit this and Phil takes out 40, all of a sudden we've got a huge gap between the 2 players. 16 it is for tops, to give himself a little go at Taylor, and it's there. All of a sudden the crowd are getting involved with a few boos, and that hand on the right hand side is going close to the colourful hair and close to that ear where you can hear those boos.
He needed that though, didn't he need that? 1 dart at double top with Phil Taylor waiting on 40.
55.
Well, you mentioned earlier on, Vassos, that it was Scotland versus England in Wales, and it's not many opportunities for Welsh people to support English people, but it's definitely happening on this occasion.
45.
Yeah, when we look at the averages, around 105 for Phil, 95 for Peter. He'll be disappointed
59.
with that, because he likes to look at himself between the 100 and 108. But Taylor, 15 years ago, when he was the only person winning the PDC World Championship, let's face it, he was hitting these kinds of averages for the first time in history, and he was beating everybody.
140.
You mentioned Peter Taylor's darts. How often do darts players tweak their darts? Because basically these days you can do anything you want. You can add a bit of grip to the point if you want. You can add a bit of grip further back. You can take away grip. You can do anything you like. How tempting is it to tweak it, and how often do you do it?
Me personally, I hardly ever change anything, because I like familiarity. With Peter, it's completely different. He may change in the middle of a day. He might use these today or this afternoon, and then tonight use something completely different. But his focus when he uses a new set is as sharp as ever, and I think that's his thought process. If I've got something new in my hand, I need to focus 100%. I don't want to get lazy, and sometimes he feels like he does that with a familiar set. Phil, on the other hand, earlier in the year decided to engineer a dart together. He's been using them for nearly a year, and he says they're the best darts he has ever had in his hands. And since then, he hasn't changed one single aspect.
Did he tweak them because he had a spell missing double 16 and double 8 and just felt he needed a bit more grip?
I think he wanted them to be ballistically perfect, and I think also you're very right in that. Down to double 16 and double 8, he was starting to see a minor weakness, and it just goes to show how great he is at looking at those small weaknesses and he seems to have fixed it.
Well, this is a moment. 154 for Phil Taylor. Otherwise, Peter Wright has a chance to level this match. Double 17 he's left. Oh, wow! A 154, and that's going to hurt.
Yeah, that was a right old kick in the back. But he stayed on treble 20. The proper way to go is treble 20, treble 18, double top. Very old school, but these days, dart players are a lot smarter. He's seen with that first treble 20 that the top of the bed was begging to be hit again. So he's hit it, he's got the double 17 shot, and he's taken it, and he's got that two-leg advantage back.
They're jumping in Cardiff. This Motorpoint Arena really is jumping now.
Imagine what it'd be like if we had an Icelandic dart player. I know there are a couple around the country, so this is a message to you. If you want to be popular,
96.
get practicing.
A reference to the Euros, in case you missed it.
Well, Phil Taylor at the World Match Play Championships in Blackpool this year, when he faced Michael van Gerwen in the final, he was a bit under the cosh, and he started doing the Icelandic clap himself. And he had the crowd on side there, but unfortunately for Phil, it wasn't good enough. Michael van Gerwen did take the title.
100.
Decent percentages, those 4 out of 6.
Yeah, these days dart players are definitely looking at 2 out of 3 hits these days. Back 15, 20 years ago, even a bit longer, 33% was very good, 1 in 3. But the way the game has evolved, nowadays, anything over 50% is classed as world class.
43.
Well, what we want to see from Peter Wright here is just, he needs to buoy himself up a bit. He seems to be a little bit flat. Like I say, he has played a lot of darts this month. Maybe he just gets a little bit between his teeth. Needs something to happen to ignite his game.
40.
On a finish already, Phil Taylor. And for the ball.
170.
That'll help. He needs to hold this throw here.
Treble 17 is the target. Single 20 now, or treble 20 will do. It's going to be the bull for himself, which Peter's just hit.
96.
Now, by virtue of hitting that bullseye on the last visit, he now has 3 clean in his hand to hit double 16 and bring it back to 4-3. Double 8. Double 8 it is. You just get the feeling from Peter Wright's body language that he's not playing his best darts today, but he's still living with the power. As long as you're still there, you've got a chance. What's your thoughts on the hair then, Vassos? You've seen a few hairstyles in your time.
Well, it's the most extraordinary thing I've ever seen, especially seeing it up close for the first time. But I was just wondering if sometimes, if he ever thinks, I just can't be bothered to go through it again today. Because it takes hours. It takes his wife hours to do that. Painting on the artwork, spraying the Mohican, gelling the Mohican.
Yeah, I can't remember the last time I saw Peter Wright with natural hair. I don't even think he knows his natural hair colour anymore. Back in 1995, when he last played on the BBC, back at Lakeside Championship,
100.
he looked so much younger. He had natural dark brown bordering on black hair. Nowadays, he's a typical darting superstar.
140.
His trousers aren't boring either.
No, they haven't been boring for about 3 years. But if you're thinking at home, he looks very coordinated to the stage.
100.
That's not an accident.
122.
He'll have seen the stage last night as if to say, right, I'm wearing green today then.
For the bullseye to leave double 16. Under no real pressure, with Peter back on 2-4-4.
Well, we're getting to the stage of the match where we had Lewis and Wade where there'll be real turning points. Now, if Taylor doesn't take this out, all of a sudden we could have a game with parity.
Yeah, suddenly he is under pressure, but first time, middle of the bed, and a 2-leg lead once again.
Well, there was a break after 10 legs, and Peter Wright will be gunning for these two. He wants to be level going into the break.
140.
And look at that. See a guy going to the board, he's had 140, and he's disappointed. That's modern darts for you.
Recently broke a world, when I say recently, I mean yesterday, broke a world record. Peter Wright, most points scored in a minute. All 8 had a go.
85.
But then Michael Smith stepped onto the hockey and beat him with 5-8-1.
So there you go, folks. Set your cooker timers at 1 minute and see what you can do.
5-8-1 is the mark to beat.
That's pretty impressive. I think when I get home after this tournament, I'm going to have a go myself.
97.
But Michael Smith is one big scorer. It doesn't surprise me that he won it.
I'd be pleased with 58.
Well, there's a board backstage. We'll give you some practice during the session interval.
99.
Well, Peter's doing the right thing here. He's got an opportunity to leave a double. 19s now to square it up. Very, very good darts from Peter, but now Taylor all of a sudden has 1-2-2. The only route here is 18s. Single 18 or treble. It's a treble for double 7. He wasn't so sure. I think he was looking at double 6 originally. Double 7 it is. The 6-3. 6-3 it is.
Well, that is a big moment. That is a big moment in the context of this match.
Well, Peter Wright is looking to the heavens for some inspiration, but arrested Phil Taylor is looking very, very good here. He's kept that 105 average for a good 4 or 5 legs now, steadily. Peter Wright has lifted his by about 3 or 4, but Taylor's just getting doubles and taking them out.
If you are averaging near on 106, it's pretty hard to beat you, isn't it?
Yeah, well, if we look at 15 darts, for instance, for a 501 leg, that's 100.2. 14 darts is around about 107 to 108, so he's hovering between those amount of darts, but he's getting rid of things in better than 6 visits. That's very, very hard to beat. Peter Wright can live with that, but at the moment, I think he just needs to lift that average by another 3 or 4, and he will cause Phil a few more problems.
100.
And the thing about Phil Taylor, certainly in this match, he's hit the doubles that have hurt. He took out 1-5-4 with a double 17, just as Peter Wright thought he might level the match at 3 legs apiece.
137.
And then that 1-2-2 via the 2 treble 18s. Again, now it's opened a 3-leg lead, and possibly a decisive lead.
Well, interestingly enough as well, Phil Taylor has not been broken in this match so far. He's defended his throw 4 times out of 4, and when you're doing that, that is the epitome of being the hard player to beat.
Well, this is for a 7-3 lead going into the break. A double 16 for Phil Taylor for 7-3.
70.
Well, Peter Wright's already hit 170 in this match, but it wasn't a checkout. It was to leave a double, which he never got a shot at. The shot that Taylor has. So right now, can only square up. Bullseye probably here. And it is. So you might set it up well again, but might not get another shot, Vassos.
2 16s again for Peter Taylor. He's got 3 darts in his hand. And he's hit it. He has hit it, Phil Taylor. He is looking fresh. He's looking like he's loving it. In the darting wilderness before he was watching darts on telly with his wife, and said, you know what, I've beaten most of these guys. And she said, well, give it another go, a proper go. And but he's pleased he did.
I'm sure he did, because at the moment, he is the most colourful man in darts. And this could well be the most colourful shot. Ooh, nearly. but it's a good leave.
190.
Now, you mentioned Phil's been playing well.
161.
This will be the culmination of that.
We've already seen 161, not this time from Phil Taylor.
137.
That double 16 is now under pressure. Peter can't afford to miss this. Double 8. Still double 8. He's got it. That's a huge start from Peter Wright. Because Taylor was not going to miss that double 12.
He won.
Straight back in the red bit, Phil Taylor. And again. And that's just as good as a maximum. The 9 appears by his name.
Well, Phil Taylor has already hit a 9-dart leg on television against Peter Wright in Sydney
85.
just over a year ago. I was in the commentary box and I called it in. Is it an omen?
4 out of 9.
It's a good old commentator's curse, isn't it, Vassos? He just walked away from the game because he didn't have the love for it. Just wanted to take a break. I'm sure he still threw darts, but didn't have the same commitment as he did in the previous years. But when he came back, it took a little bit of time. But this is what we've got now. We've got the full-blown darting product.
60.
Very consistent,
84.
Peter Wright. And he is expected to win a major before too long. Widely expected to.
52.
Well, he shouldn't win this leg, being 258 behind. But if, and only if, well, he can leave a finish now, and does.
135.
But the way Phil's been hitting his doubles, he won't be coming back.
Double 16 for Phil Taylor to restore that 4-leg lead. Missed by a mile. Not that one, though.
12 leg. Phil Taylor. 30 leg speed.
He's 2 legs away.
He won.
2 legs away, and I'm sure he probably didn't think that he'd have this kind of gap in the game. He was probably thinking it was going to be a tight one. It's a very, very interesting group because
174.
it has another man who wears a green shirt in Michael van Gerwen, who we will see in the next game. I'm very interested to see what kind of mood Mr. van Gerwen is in today, considering how much he has won in the last 7 days.
He's on a Premier League football player's salary. Something like 80 grand he's won this week, hasn't he? In the last couple of weeks.
140.
2 European Tour events, £25,000 a pop. 3 Pro Tour events in Barnsley, £10,000 a pop. That's 80,000. So, is it another omen? As Phil Taylor might hit a 180 here.
140.
If he wins this tournament, he will have won this month £180,000.
Has that ever happened before?
I think Michael's probably done that. He's won 18 tournaments this year, and that's exactly the amount that he won last year, and we've still got 3 months to go. So he's playing better this year than he was last year, which is quite frightening.
He's on next. Double 18 for Peter Wright.
He's shown the 13th leg. Peter Wright. 14 leg is filled in through.
He's still there. Just about, but he's still there, Peter Wright.
I said on a few occasions when watching Peter Wright that the darts that he's throwing right now look really good to me. If he had a couple of months with them, I think they'd be very, very
96.
dangerous. But that same long time ago, I almost gave up in speculating what he was going to throw. So now I'm just comfortable with him being comfortable with different darts all the time.
57.
That Tin Man didn't look very rusty either, did he? Happy people in Wales, happy dart fans. He'll be a happy Phil Taylor if he picks up this victory.
Yeah, from tin to tungsten.
I made a joke earlier on that Peter Wright uses so many sets of darts, there may be a tungsten shortage.
81.
And actually, you might not be wrong. Sometimes 2 different sets in the same match.
Yeah, he did that in Australia, the back end of last month.
97.
And that has not happened a lot in darting history. I think only one other time I can think of when Raymond van Barneveld, in the break of a match, actually brought another set from backstage.
100.
Phil Taylor on 168, which is not a possible finish, certainly not with 3 darts. But he'll know he has at least 6 for a 9-5 lead, with Peter Wright stuck on 263.
100.
Well, Phil could have used the treble 16 there to leave a finish, but decided to use the 20. That way he guarantees a shot at a double the next time he comes to the board, as opposed to just guaranteeing a shot at a bullseye. Very, very smart work from Phil there.
So treble 20 for double 4, 16 for double 16. This is that guaranteed shot at a double.
36.
He's missed it, but he'll be back.
There's only one number in Peter Wright's mind here, and that's 180. You just get the feeling, the way Phil has been throwing his doubles in this match, that this may be in vain.
140.
He's missed 4 of his last 6 at double 16, Phil Taylor. But he does hit it when it matters.
Right, he's just teasing him again. He's done that a lot in this match. And dart players know this. When you go miss, miss, you just think in the back of your mind, go on, just miss one more time and give me a chance at this. And invariably it doesn't happen, because you just think, yeah, I'm not going to give you a chance, me old cocker. There you go.
He's missed 6 darts at double 16 in 3 legs, but he's won all 3 legs with a double 16.
And still 100% on his throw. That's very, very strong. And if you were to say that to Phil, if he wins this 10-5, 10-6, he'd be very, very pleased with that. And Peter Wright has gone from a 94 average early in the match to a 99. But I think on top of him playing decent stuff, that's got more to do with the fact that he hasn't had shots at doubles.
100.
And his overall average, which is currently almost 100, is not too different to his first 9 average, which pretty much proves your point, Paul.
Yeah, the players these days are looking for something in the region of 110 to 120 for their first 9. That gets them below 200 after the first 9.
100.
And then, yes, the average is going to come down if you don't have shots at doubles, but yeah, Peter will think that 99's okay. In previous generations, that was brilliant. Not anymore.
Peter Bar 134.
Must hit this.
Options. 2 treble 17s leaves double 16. Oh, so close. 66 left. So he's going for the bullseye to leave double 8. But all of a sudden, this is for the match. Treble 20.
Treble 19 for double 12 for the match for Phil Taylor. Oh, he's left himself double 12.
129.
Well, fails to get it on this occasion. Peter Wright is at death's door when it comes to this match. Can he pull himself back from the brink? It's a good guide for tops.
18.
But it was almost too far away, even though it was a good guide.
3 darts at double 6 for Phil the Power Taylor. It's double 3. And there it is. He does look fresh. He does look on it. He does look in the mood. Phil Taylor beats Peter Wright 10-5 in the opening match of Group A in the Champions League.
Taylor gets